How do you tell if a small business needs more tools or fewer? My answer is it just needs more trust.
Yeah, it's the relationship. Yeah, it's really the relationship.
Welcome to Fire Talks by Tech Wing Bites. I'm Clint. I've built software, led teams, and now a founder, helping builders who are ready to make the leap, but can't quite see the path yet. Every episode is one conversation closer to clarity on ownership, execution, and momentum.
All right, welcome to Fire Talks. I believe it's episode 14. We're talking about small businesses and AI. Considering OpenAI and Anthropic both just started to get into the consulting space regarding forward deploying engineers and whatnot. So we're going to dive into that. But first, let's introduce our guest, Tony.
Yes. So Tony Brooms, I'm the CEO, owner, founder of Billy, which are a payments and billing platform for small businesses to help them, understand and do their finances a little bit quicker and easier.
And I'm Egan Jones in superfluidic.ai. And I do lots of consulting on big data projects and little data projects.
Thank you both. I was recently talking to one of my clients, and it was like, Clint, what are you? Are you an AI consultant? I've been seeing that all over the place. I think we all kind of fall in that top bucket of AI consultants, and we are either being recruited or pushed out by OpenAI and Anthropic. I believe OpenAI, I'm doing this off the top of my head. I can't even say the name. It's a Tomorrow? What is, it's not Tomorrow. What's the name of the company they just acquired?
I'm pretty sure it's Tomorrow, but that might be a wrong
pronunciation. Yeah. So they just
I'm going off of spelling.
Exactly. They acquired them, and it's all over the globe, and they just hiring engineers or AI consultants to be forward deploy engineers, the new 2026 term FDE, which will embed in engineers in small businesses to not just help them with their build, but also consult with them. And Anthropic release features in Claude. I believe it's Claude Desktop, specifically around tools for small businesses, including finances, which is challenging the app that I'm building. What have you guys been seeing?
Well, one of the things I've seen, not necessarily specifically to the small businesses one, but they also released a new / command called a goal, which is a goal. So essentially the idea there is that you tell it what your end goal is, and if you've created everything well enough, it will go from start to finish with almost literally no interruptions. So you can literally step away, come back. I have not yet played with it yet, but I do have a plan because I've set up some things on my end where I'm almost to that point where I can have it, give it essentially a set of rules that I need it to do, or a function that I need it to build, and be able to step away, and the feature can be almost feature complete when I come back. But obviously with some some back and forth. But the idea behind goal is pretty much the same thing, but without the interruptions.
Interruptions as in approvals?
No, interruptions as in it's more of it'll ask you, how it always asks you questions for clarifying. Oh, say it again?
Like a gate check?
Yeah, pretty like a gate check. So it comes back, it'll ask you a question, or do you want to continue? Or certain commands, it'll always ask you, do you want to do this? Like, especially with stuff like bash commands, which I appreciate that it does ask me that. To be honest.
Yeah. I want that. So goal.
Is this in Claude? This is in Claude, yeah.
This is in Claude. Yes. So which means they'll be coming to the other ones pretty soon.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Codex have something similar, slash plan. I don't know if it's
That's
exactly the
the
same.
same. Like, because the goal and the plan are two different things that you want to have. Like, I was just going to say that I've got whole roadmaps, broken down into sprints. In each one, I've got a sprint set of guardrails and process to follow for each sprint. And so this would allow me to say, finish all these sprints with this goal in mind. The sprints are very kind of much more feature oriented, rather than kind of build me a whole product. And so I've got all these roadmaps lined up, but what I need to insert in there are probably some additional research sprints at the beginning of each of those sprints to further nail down the specifics. A lot of times it'll give you, do you want to take this path or that path? So usually it has a recommended path, and 90% of the time you can take that recommended path, but sometimes, you don't. I wanted to ask you, Tony and Clint, if you guys have had as much trouble as I've had with delegating, like you were just saying, Tony, like I just get these bash, where if it had gone and used a specialized agent, it wouldn't have had to go through all those bash explorations and hit and miss crap. And when it uses an agent, it usually knocks it out real quick, real efficiently. But when it won't delegate, it tries to do it itself. The class, let me do this. Let me just do that. And so I wanted to know if you run into that problem, if you run into also just straight up lying and fabrication of
Definitely that.
and how you combat that. I just spent 2 days setting up tearing down, doing spring cleaning on my whole system, setting up, tearing out all the old hooks and setting up a whole new set of hooks, trying to combat a lot of this.
I'm gonna respond first. Let me just touch on this, because this is classic builders problem. I know Tony got a really good answer for this, right?
Maybe
the goal things, the slash goal definitely feels like an autonomous agent to me, right? So I'll dive into that. But when I said plan in Codex, in Codex, it does this thing where it plans the document for you. Like it goes through pretty much like a PRD, and it says, "Hey, go approve it," whatever, and then you go. So maybe I was mixing things up. When I say execute on this plan, there's a little window at the bottom of Codex with bullet points, and it's showing you what it's. I believe
it's a to-do list.
To do this. Claude has too, and so when I was saying plan, I was actually thinking of that, because that feels autonomous. Like it's like, here's these 10 things, and you can look down at these checklists and see it's kind of checking it off. So it gives me this idea of, okay, well, that to-do list is like autonomous, whereas when you do a slash, it's also autonomous, right? So that was my feedback there. But when it comes to builders problem and blockers, yes, the AI still lies. LLM, which one when I use, I still run into issues where I'm telling it to use these slash commands. It's saying it's doing it. Sometimes I have to be strict in front of it. I'm going to be strict with you, or I even send it twice, and it says it's doing it, and then it comes back to sometimes it says, "Sorry, my bad." One time it deleted some of my files. I'm like, "Yo, what's going on?" It's like, "Yeah, my bad. Sorry, it can't be recovered." So I run into that as well. But I think the real focus is going back on tools. Recently, I was going to build an app, and I decided I'm not going to do that. I'm going to build these tools, pretty much Python scripts. right? Because I know if it builds me the script, it's going to follow the script, and it will just build on it, which I didn't tell it to build on it. So I think that's been the benefit of giving it tools, right? So if I say, hey, use slash commands and then use this Python script to edit these clips, by the way, that's what I'm using to create the clips, right? And it is, so it's a series of tools, but Python scripts and also MD files. And I just talk to it, say, use the folder. And a lot of times it will find its own errors, especially when I'm running these blockers, and it will update the MMD files or update the scripts. Of course, I'm using Git, so I know it's being changed, and I'm like, hey, why did you change that? And it gives me a good explanation. I found that to be a good solution to the I don't know what to do. Let me go build something because I think. That's what I've been running to.
So for me, one of the things that I think I've been doing is I have, like I said, I'm pretty much almost all in with Claude, right? So a lot of things revolve around skills. So what I've been doing, and there's you go through, I have, whenever I find some findings that are untrue, straight out or straight out lie, basically, I will go back and hey, this isn't what you're supposed to do, right? This is, this doesn't make sense. I will literally kind of go back and tell it what the truth is, right? Or what my expectation of that should be, and put it into the memory file, the MD Markdown file you were talking about, right? So I have, at this point, probably I probably have a good 60, 70 Markdown files at this point.
I don't even actually count.
Well, but just because they handle a lot of different things. So, so my main Markdown file, the memory one, that's basically what Claude has is every time it runs, it should at least go through that. And I have gone through that same thing you were talking about, where it tells me that it's done this thing and it did not, because I can tell because I go when I read the output, I'm like, okay, obviously you didn't do what I told you to do. Obviously, it's obvious.
And it's going, I'm sorry, you're right. You included that statement 8 times in your Claude MD file, and I ignored all 8 times.
Yes.
You fucking
it's like, what do you mean? Why are you ignoring it? So when it's ignoring things, usually what I do is I go to the specific thing I want it to actually do, and with that section of the Markdown file, basically, and then have this this. I'll literally copy and paste it into the sections. Like, this is what I need you to pay attention to when you do it, and then usually it'll do. But I also find that it starts doing that type of lying after a few, maybe like a half a day of work, but back and forth. It's starting where the context starts to fill up, and I have to clear it out. And what? Yeah.
Is that in the same long day chat?
Yes. It's usually when it's in the same context window. I forget what they call their chat. I mean, it's basically a chat. Basically the chat, but yeah. So when it's in the same one, there's that law of diminishing returns that ends up happening.
Yeah,
that's when you have to either compact or just open a new window.
I hate the compacting, but they said the solution is to start a new chat. But I mean, I'm you, man. I start a new chat. I'm in it.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. This is where I'm coming to, is just starting a new chat. I've included in the chat window here a slash command that I use, /VV, a Veracity verification check, and it just goes through and it kind of categorizes all of the claims that it's made as verified or assumed or incomplete, uncertain. And then hold on, where is
Egan? Did you create this, or is this on the web somewhere?
No, I made this. Yeah.
Jeez, thanks for sharing, bro.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then hold on a second. I got another one. So I'll run this at least once, sometimes twice, and then I've got oh dang it. Come on. Where is it?
Action taken. This is good.
Yeah.
Veracity verification check. Why you find that, Egan? I was arguing with my Claude today,
Oh yeah, last night. Yep.
and we were talking about how LLMs work, right? And me and my Claude buddy, and it was really pushing back on the idea of LLMs is a prediction machine, right? And a lot of times it gets the hallucination confidently because it's just saying, "Hey, this is what the next thing should be," right?
Yeah,
I think we know that. But what I found interesting is what it said afterwards, that hey, there's no verification, there's no check on I don't know, like so like using this VVC veracity verification check seemed to really help with that. So what I was thinking before you share this was, man, when I create a prompt, every, I don't know, 10 lines, do I need to put this slash command to make sure it checks itself? So
maybe 20.
Right before I commit.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Or at any kind of good stopping, pausing point.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime I get a whiff of BS,
Mm-hmm.
I'm pulling this out, and then here's another one. That is my /VV, and this one is my /VVV. Oh dang it!
What does that mean? Let's see. Oh, you ain't sent it yet.
Oh yeah, it's there. The deep veracity verification.
Deep
verification.
Yes, it starts ruthless, merciless, extremely thorough, and kind. So I try to keep it positive,
I like it. I have one I would like to share as well. It's not as super fancy named as yours, but it's part of an article I wrote. I sent it in. I call it a app sanity check, and before I get commit, I also run this, but it's more from an engineering thing. I'm gonna paste it here, and then I'll tell you about it. So the app sanity check is really, you got to scroll down in the bottom of the article, you'll see it. Sanity check, MD. And so I have like before action, and I define what an action is involving coding, developing, programming, blah, blah, blah. I want you to do these before action stuff. I need you to have this mindset, debugging, alignment. During the action, I need you to do these things: security, atomic commits. After action, I need you to validate security. And even though all of these things is very explicit and is there, just like yours, Egan, it ignores some of these steps, right? So my question to you is, when you use your deep veracity verification, do you find more accuracy or more alignment with the LLM you're using versus if you just use your basic one here, the VVC, the veracity verification check?
I usually use them in sequence.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll use the VV first, and then depending on how that goes, I might run it again, or run the VVV after that. So and you're asking me whether one finds more than the other, or
execute on more of a like follow your orders better, right? Like, hey, because I said deep, it has a higher probability of following the instructions you have in there versus if you didn't use
this goes in and catches everything after it ignores or things that it a lot. I mean, you got to read some of the responses. A lot of times it's like, really, I didn't I said this, or I quoted this number,
Mhm.
or I quoted this sub agent, but I didn't verify any of this. And so let me go back and verify what it said. It says, and so it gives it an opportunity to go back and double and triple check everything that it's saying. And so if it has lied in the past, here's another check for it. And it almost always catches something.
Yeah. Yes.
It just depends on how small it is.
That makes sense.
Yeah. But at first I had just the VV, and then at the end of the VV, I said, okay, now take everything that you just found and fix it.
Right.
And so that way I don't have to save, go and fix it every time.
Right.
It just goes automatically and fixes those things, which is really helpful.
The good part about that is after you do that 2 or 3 times, especially with these newer Opus 4.7s or whatever and 5.5s, it kind of assumes that's what you want to do, right? And then it just fixes it.
Yeah.
Well, it's got a bias for coding and fixing and everything.
Yeah.
It really expects you to turn on that plan mode if you don't want that,
Right.
and that just puts on some hooks, some guardrails anyway. So,
Tony, what secret sauce do you have over there?
I just call it my pre PR review, essentially, where it's essentially like it does the code, and it's like, okay, this is the set of things I want you to be doing when you do a review before, just before any type of pushing up to GitHub, and so that way most of the simplest things should be caught. That's the idea behind it, that simple things should be caught. And the more complex things will require a deeper dive. But this is where, I just make sure that, and I actually have it running as a hook. So it will do it before any time before a push. And there are a couple other hooks I have where I can automatically push up to my repo. So when I do that, it's a setting I have, which it will also do a back and forth, because I also have my CI/CD on my GitHub. So then that will also do a Copilot review. So there's certain portions where I end up having it. I just have the two of them talking to each other.
Yeah. Okay.
And,
How are you doing?
one's checking the work of the other.
that's nice.
That's really smart. Keep it honest.
Yes. Yeah, that's the thing I've found. Is like, Claude. Well, Claude comes up with stuff, and anything, right? Codex. All of them will come up with something. Pushing it to, pushing it up to GitHub. Turn on Copilot, and then make sure it's running its own checks against what it knows, and then go ahead and have them talking to each other, and then I see what the conversations are.
Right.
So I make sure, and I make sure you make comment. Make sure for anything that Copilot says, make comments on it, and make sure that I can understand what your thinking was.
Are you watching that conversation?
To a point, right? So I have a remote. Oh yeah, that's the other thing I have. I started using remote control, so I can start viewing it, so I don't have to be in front of my computer, my laptop. The only thing with the remote control is it doesn't go as deep into it, so you don't necessarily see all the thinking behind it. You see the commands it's running, but you don't see.
Do you want to see the deep remote? Do you want to see the deep remote? Sometimes
I do, because sometimes it's making a decision. It's like, okay, what's that decision? Now I can always go back into the GitHub and see what that reply was. I could check that way, but sometimes I do like to understand what that thought process was, so that I can correct it, because that's the thing. I like to be able to see what the LLM and what it's predicting, and kind of correct it before it goes down that path again.
Right.
And so it's a lot of, I mean, I view it a lot like a baby.
Yeah, baby.
Very much like a kid, yeah.
Yeah. And so
You guys,
Huh?
Codex version of
You get that lighter.
yeah,
what did he say?
Where did you get that lighter?
right.
Oh,
Yeah.
have you guys used the Codex version of that remote control? It's like desktop control or something.
No.
I haven't.
I started to, and I was like, I don't know if I want you to do that. I was on my phone on OpenAI, Chat GPT, and I hit the Codex button. I was about to do it. I was like, I'm good with my Claude remote control. I'm good with that. But I found it not always to. You said it's not showing the detail. Maybe is this fixed now because it's been, excuse me, about 3 weeks since I've used it, and it would get stuck. Like it would tells me that it is running, and I'm looking, I'm waiting. I don't see anything, so I get up and I go to my computer. And there's an approval waiting for me.
I've had that happen a couple times. Usually when that happens for me, it's usually when I'm doing a lot of switching on my phone.
Yeah.
Like so I'm going back and forth between it, some other app, GitHub, might be texting, and then I come back. But it's been mostly fine. I don't think it's done that. Yeah, it hasn't done that this week for me.
Right. So that's cool.
Last week it did. So I don't know if it's something I did specifically differently or if it got better.
Yeah, makes sense. So these are definitely problems of builders like ourselves, but also if we call ourselves AI consultants, the same kind of things that we are going to be dealing with, not only for ourselves, but if we was to go and consult for others, right? So when you look at OpenAI and Anthropic bringing in their own consulting teams, knowing that these nuances exist, right? Like, do you feel like they are going to be better than us, who is playing with multiple tools, or just more specific within their area? So, for example, what I'm saying is, OpenAI has their OpenAI consultants, and Anthropic has their AI consultants. So they're only specific to Claude or only specific to Codex. You know what I mean? Versus we're like, yo, I see back and forth. And like you, Tony, you're working with a GitHub Copilot that's doing the conversation, which I think is best. But where do you see that going? Does that push us out of the space, or does that make us stronger?
I think that's a tricky question, because one of the things that something like OpenAI and Anthropic, what they're doing is they're building out a system for to have people come in. This is what it is. They're building something similar to the Apple ecosystem, right? So what I mean by that is, when you're in, that's pretty much what you have to be into. So they're going to end up trying the monopoly. Obviously, they'll have integrations with other systems, like their agents, their agentic links to something like, say, Slack or something like that, right? But what I'm imagining at this point is these consultants will be broad. In the fact, when I say broad, in the space that they're in. So they're not going to try to be, well, they will, but they're going to have their own. Each agent will be very specific to something. And I'm calling them agents because that's what they will be. These consultants will be agents, right? They're just agents. They are. They are. Right? They're calling it something different, but that's what they're going to be, right?
Yes. Yeah.
But their knowledge base will be broader than what a typical agent would be. That's how I'm seeing it. Now, what they end up going to do as far as how they replace or how they work with people. In the end, I think AI in general, and well, not AI in general, I think people in general will still trust people.
Always.
Yeah, right. So now there are people that are distrustful, and there are people that you don't trust.
Right.
I think with AI, there's a hill or mountain really to climb for it on the trust portion of it. And if they're talking about, I want this, this system to come in and do work for my business, you're going to need to trust it, because you have no idea how much access you're going to need to give it. You have no idea what access you need to give to it.
Right.
You have no idea, at least I'm talking from a person that never really worked with AI. And this is their consulting on their business. Somebody that does, I don't know, house washing, for example. What do they need to give AI access to specifically? Right. Probably their books. But, again, that's probably the one thing that people
protects
most. Yeah, they protect the most.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So you really have to believe that AI is not going to mess with how you do your books and have your money or send the money out incorrectly.
Mistake.
Mistake. Right? I've heard say again.
It's just a few pennies.
Yeah, a few pennies here, a few pennies here and there. It's like all of a sudden somebody else is a billionaire. Right? It's going to take a few percentage points of something, and
but that's real, right? Like we talking about AI, like ignoring our commands, and just recently, within a month ago, we heard about AI deleting the entire repo and all the backups from different companies. So no matter what rules you are set, you still have that.
Right.
Those backups weren't backups. If they were really backups, they would have been backed up.
Facts.
Yeah. But how many people do backups regularly?
I was organizing my backups, and I was like, I've only got 2 of these, and I'm organizing them, and with Claude, watch out.
I run a backup on myself like at least once a week, and that's still
not enough.
It's still not enough, right? You're like, that's because it costs. Like there's a cost that there's like, I'm not big enough where I need to be doing it daily.
Right.
But I know when I get to that point, that's one of the first things I'm going to do. Is backups is one of the first things I'm going to end up doing.
For sure. Egan, what's your take on what Tony was saying as far as OpenAI and Anthropic's human agents coming into the small business space?
Yeah, I think that you're going to have consultants that in their tool belt are going to have just overflowing with little Lilliputian Smurf agents that are just going to be, doing all their little minion jobs, and I think that you're going to have your generalists that work across lots of companies, and then you're going to have your specialists that are going to be like AWS or Microsoft or Google Stacks or whatever.
I agree. There's going to be generalists and specialists, but I think they're going to find a hard time fitting into established moms and pops, small business shops, and people who've been accustomed doing it for themselves. The key point that Tony made was trust, right? And coming in as a generalist, I gotta trust you, but you don't know my business, you don't know my clients, you don't know. Like for what I'm doing, I'm working closely with my client. I've known them for years, right? So like they trust me as a human being. So if I'm giving them a AI solution, then they're trusting me first before they trust that. right?
Right.
So here's the specialist who can probably do stuff better than me, or generalist, right? But
Mhm.
we don't trust you, and you are acting in the best interest of your parent company, not in the best interest of that small business.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where I'm starting to land is
Mhm.
everybody is going to have to be starting to deal with, well, I mean, we already are, but just the acceleration on top of the acceleration, and who can deal with that. I mean, you talk about the small and middle folks. I feel like they're most susceptible to it. That the big folks can afford it, but can they implement it? You
Right.
know, can they reap the benefits from it because they're so Goliath?
That's the question.
But there's got to be opportunities in the modular infrastructure, and another place that I'm landing is focusing more on the AI to make, since it lowers the software creation hurdles, using AI more to make deterministic custom tools for you reuse, as opposed to reusing an AI that might go off the rails.
Agreed.
And so I think that's a lot of the places where these, FDEs are coming in, and a lot of them are required to use AI at this point, to make these custom in-house tools that they just weren't able to make before.
Right. I mean, we need them. We small business owners need us FDEs, right? Like you need these FFDEs to manage the nuance, like the build track we have, like all these. You're not following me, hey, I need you to follow. Like you said, it's a baby. We need the FDEs to come in and babysit, right? I need to trust that you can do that and do that efficiently, and don't waste my money in a big organization. They probably have waste money budget, right? Like they make mistakes, fail fast, keep going. Small business, they're counting every penny.
Yeah. Small businesses don't have that they don't have that type of runway.
Right.
All of this, us babysitting AI on its head, and think about this, that the business is the business owner's baby. And they're like, how do I know you're a good teacher? How do I know that you're gonna make my child a better entity? And so I think that's kind of one of the dynamics that's at play here.
Agreed.
Another reframing of it.
Well, you also have to look at the types of small businesses, right? So when we talk about startups today, startups and everybody who wants to go solo, like they're starting from scratch. They really don't know. They may have the budget, they may get some investment, blah blah blah, right? They need these FDEs from OpenAI to come in and help them get up and running. The trust barrier is probably just as the same as if they just hired somebody brand new, versus established mom and pop shop who kind of says, hey, yeah, I've been burned a bunch of times. Plus, Hacker News, guys. I know you've been seeing GitHub getting compromised, and it's like somebody to come in, their best interest for those guys.
Right.
You know what I mean? I think that's the big challenge. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just thinking the fact that, when we're talking about small businesses, like a lot of times they need something to help them out, right? A way to assist and a way to help them either, push their business, not either, a way for them to push their business forward and do it in a way that feels right to them. So it's because what feels right to me may not feel right to you or Egan or anybody else. But this particular business, and there are obviously certain things that we do that allows us, as people, to figure out that connection. And we have to be able to build our tools, build our AI, build whatever we're doing in a fashion for those people. So, I've been talking to, I have with my own clients, and I work with her closely because, she has very specific needs that, some other big company wouldn't be able to do, because this is my product, you deal with it. And her system doesn't work that way. Right? So, you can really build out AI and tools for these businesses. And yes, obviously some people, they have their own nuance. They have their own thing where they necessarily want to, I just want to do it this way. And sometimes that's fine. But if they're a bit more flexible, we can help fill in some of those gaps. And it's also up to us to figure out what can it realistically fill in gaps versus pie in the sky.
Yeah, I had a question written down here, and I think I have my answer.
Okay.
I'm gonna give you guys the question anyway. It says, how do you tell if a small business needs more tools or fewer? All right. So my answer is it just need more trust.
It's the relationship. It's really the relationship. The way you figure that out is the relationship that you have with them, because they're looking to you. They're looking to you to fill in some gap they have.
Yeah, that reminds me of a quote. Culture eats strategy for breakfast or something like that.
Oh,
you ever heard of that?
I like it. I haven't heard it, but I like it.
I'm look it up. I'm like, Egan, you heard of this one? Culture.
Yeah, I've heard that one. It's a great one. Yeah.
And I think it actually applies here, right? Who said this?
I just said relationships.
Yeah, relationships with connections, and it's the cultural relationship that you've built with them, that they trust you in. Like
it's the whole big thing at Arrive and kind of that business.
Yeah.
You guys, I gotta run. I got my kid graduating.
Peter Drucker. There you go. Before you go.
Well, that's congratulations to him.
Eat a what?
Peter Drucker.
Oh, the
person.
Oh, that's the quote.
Peter Drucker. Yeah. Culture eats breakfast for. No, culture eats. No, culture strategy. Eats strategy for breakfast. By Peter Drucker. Yeah. Yeah, man. Thank you for showing up. Thanks for participating in the conversation.
Thanks for talking to me.
Yeah.
Next time.
Yeah. Congratulations to your son. Because
daughter.
Congratulations to your daughter.
Yeah. Congratulations, man.
All right. Thanks. You too.
All right. You have a good one.
Later.
Hey, so Tony, I think we've agreed on this as far as small business. I was nervous at first, right? I was like, man, getting into this space, but just talking through it, I'm like, you know what? Yeah. We've built relationships. They've trusted. If we decide to use those tools, whether it be OpenAI or Anthropic, they're gonna trust our decision versus a random person coming in.
Right.
A brand new startup, that's different because you got to build that trust anyway, right?
Yeah.
So the human leading is definitely the one thing to lead with. Next time about our next fight talk, I'm just gonna say it right now. We're gonna do it. We're gonna talk about AI and the new generation.
Generation, we need to, because it's one of those things where it's going to be highly important, because I think that's also a generation that every young generation needs to be heard.
Yeah.
Right? you know, the generation we're from, when we were coming up, you know, the generation that came up after us, like they always need to be heard because, well, they're going to be the ones the most affected by it.
Right.
Because that's going to be like, you think about, you know, when the internet started popping up, right?
Mhm.
That's essentially our generation that was mostly affected by that, because
True.
that's when it kind of came up and really started, you know, we lived through the advent of it. So when it wasn't as everywhere, as ubiquitous as everywhere, but also, you know, we came up, you know, during, you know, was it, I guess, was this the .com bubble? Was that the .com? One of the bubbles.
Y2K.
Y2K, yeah. Y2K was a thing, yeah, like all that. You know.
Yeah, and I think there's a difference, and when we talk about it, we can dive into it. I think the ideology is the same, that they don't appreciate AI for a number of reasons, and some identified in the articles you sent, not just cultural but environmental,
Yes.
and so that's the overarching idea of all of them, right? But then you have Gen Z versus Gen Alpha, and they're getting affected differently, almost as different as Gen X and millennials, but millennials is really large, right? There's like I look at it, and you look at millennials, you cut them in half, and half of them is closer to us, Gen X, right? And then the other half is closer to, like, you know, Gen Z as far as, because it's such like, and of course Gen X is a smaller group. So I think exploring the opinions of both sides, like, yes, they have the same overall arching, but I think they seem to approach it differently. Like, someone's like, do it raw, someone's like, I do it for this, someone's like, if you even say AI, you know what I mean? So I think it's going to be a very good conversation.
I think so, because I think with Gen Z, right, they're the ones that are coming of age in this AI, right? Gen Alpha is they're still young, so you know, they're still memeish within how they view the AI thing, where everything is a meme, or everything is, you know, but they're still old enough. Well, they're old enough ones in Gen Alpha, I should say, that they understand there's a shift happening. Right. So
okay. So let's plan on that. So thank you again for joining. I'm close it up. And say, you know, this was a good conversation. We talked about how AI is really affecting small business and the AI consulting space, especially when it comes to solopreneurs and those AI enthusiasts who's working closely. I think the goal really comes down to trust, because there's still builders problems that has to be acted upon the best interest of the small business and not the best interest of the platform.
Right. Exactly. You have to balance that. It has to be balanced, because you know, one of my friends, you know, I remember a conversation I had. She's like, she is very wary of AI because of the lack of guardrails, which speaks directly to a trust, you know, to the lack of trust in it, and in the lack of trust in the people that are building it. But you know, so it boils down to that.
I agree. So thank you, Tony, and thank you everyone for joining Tech Wing Bites.
Thanks. All right.